Hello, this is Chris with Phoenix Gaming. I just wanted to do a video kind of talking about my experience at the Kansas City Open, and I wanted to share with you my experience while I was down there. It is not my first event that I've worked with Games Workshop on. It is, in fact, my third or my fourth. I don't remember which. I got to be a 40K judge this time. Normally, I've been a kill team judge. It's kind of a bump up in a way because when you're working 40K events, there's a little bit higher expectation put on you because they really expect you to know 40K because that is their flagship game. So that does tell me that I'm getting a little bit of trust, from the full time staff, which is cool. It's good to get that interaction. Like, hey, we've worked with this guy, we know what he's about. He gets a lot of good interactions with his players. And like I said, like it's good that everybody knows what I'm about and I know what they're about, and it's worked out well. I got to do the teams event. This is really loud. I got to do the teams event, which is really cool. It was our first ever teams event. Man, it was awesome. What a great time. We were probably a little understaffed. We had, gosh, I think it was 40 teams. So there were 40 teams total. 5 people per team, that's 200 players. We also had a singles GT that had about 100 people. We had 1.5 judges on the singles event, and then we basically had 2.5 judges on the teams event. And when I say half judge, they were close enough that what would happen is one of the judges would just kind of occasionally float over and give a hand and then float back. Like there was a lot of bouncing back and forth. And it wasn't one specific judge. It was just whoever was close enough, they get to do it, right? It was really cool. I had a lot of fun. I actually got to meet a lot of cool people that I've never met before, even working the GW events. And I wanted to share some of these interactions with you as we kind of talk about it. I was told repeatedly by players that it was the best team event that they had ever been to. And, I got thanked a lot personally for just being a good and knowledgeable judge and being very fair and impartial and just being very approachable. And again, like that means a lot to me. I really like running events, so it does mean a lot to me when people are coming up to me to tell me, hey, you are very approachable. You definitely know what you're talking about. We really appreciate the time and experience that you have and that we've had with you. Big shout out to a group of players. Don't remember the team name, but a guy named Daniel and Hogan were on the team. Super nice dudes. I didn't really interact with them a ton until round 6 because it was a 6 round event. But man, what a great time. What a bunch of fun guys. And very they're good. They didn't win, but they did well. They definitely won more than they lost. But the main thing was that I was never near them and felt like the people around them weren't having fun. You know, I found out Daniel in passing. I found out he is a Navy veteran, and you know, found that out as he was playing another veteran who's an older guy. He was about 60. He was a Marine. And as I was walking by, I heard one of his teammates yell, "Hey, Navy," talking to Daniel. And as soon as he did that, I was like, "Oh, you were in the Navy." And then, of course, it was, veteran, veteran, veteran. And then the older guy, I can't think of his name because I didn't talk to him nearly as much, but he was also, like I said, in the Marines. So then it just became a big group party, for lack of a better word. And it definitely turned into a party at that table. Without going into too much detail, poor Dan, by the end of the game, was just basically crawling away from the table, and it was he had a very good time. Let's put it that way. And then the guy across from him, the Marine veteran, also had a very good time. They both really enjoyed each other's company. There was really good banter going back and forth. And again, just everybody had fun. And then that team, we actually stayed in communication after the event, so that was cool. And Dan's going to be working some events under the Military Gaming Command banner that I'm putting together for the nonprofit that I don't work for, but I do kind of work side by side with. So that's cool. Just bringing somebody in under that umbrella and somebody that I know is a fun first player, which is what I want for any team that I'm on. I want my first goal is, are you and your opponent having fun? You know, are you willing to sacrifice a little bit of your fun just to make sure your opponent has fun? That's what I'm looking for when we go to tournaments with these teams. And Dan definitely kind of fits that. Like, he knows his army, he plays it well, he understands the game very well, but he still also understands fun first, and not knocking anybody else on his team because they all kind of seem to fit that mold. I just interacted with Dan the most. Another group of guys out of California. Some of you might have even heard of one of them. He's a big painter. I guess he's like really well-known hobbyist, Sensei Swag. Got to interact with them. Super nice dudes. Got to play therapist for a little bit after one of the rounds because one of the guys was just having a rough go at it, not in the game, just in life in general, and kind of pulled me to the side and we talked about it for a little bit. So it was just kind of a neat interaction overall to just experience that, right? Because you're with these people for like 4 straight days all day. I was in a hall with about 400 to 500 people, and it was just utter chaos and noise the whole time. But everything ran smoothly. We didn't really run into too many hiccups and just a little bit of growing pains just from running our first event. So again, all in all, very fun, very well done. If you can ever go to a GW event, I recommend it. It is not the same as going to like a frontline gaming event or any other kind of event because they do tend to be fun first. For example, there's no rules governing chess clocks, right? If you want to use one, you can use one, but I, as a GW judge, will never enforce it. So whatever you agree upon with your opponent, that's between you and your opponent. But if your opponent decides that he doesn't want to use it anymore, that's also between you and your opponent. I don't get involved in any of that, you know, because I am just here to facilitate and basically make sure everybody's having fun and to offer an impartial, like the occasional impartial measurement, the impartial rules questions, stuff like that, And a good example of being impartial, right, is I got called over to a table, and when I got to the table, I knew one of the players. And when I say I know him, as in like he doesn't live far from me, I've played with him, I know him. And that was the first thing I said to the table. I looked at his opponent and said, I want to be upfront with you. I do know Alex. So if you're not comfortable with me giving a judgment because I know him, let me know and I will get you a different judge. And the guy was like, oh, geez, I did not expect that. And was immediately like, no, you're fine. I really appreciate that. So it's one of those where that is my job, right? That is my goal, to give impartial rules and to basically make sure everybody's having fun. So yeah, if you haven't done a GW Open, don't worry about it being super sweaty. Don't worry about it being cutthroat because it's really not for the most part. Like maybe at the top couple of tables, you'll get that. But you're going to get that at most tournaments, even like an RTT. Your top tables can be a little bit like testy, or I don't know what word I'm looking for, but they can be a little bit angry or aggressive, right? Don't worry about that. Go to one. Have fun. They are a blast. I'm actually working in Tacoma next month. So if you're on the West Coast, I know Tacoma is not necessarily the West Coast, but it's probably closer than Kansas City is. So if you're anywhere in that vicinity and you think you're on the fence about it, just go. I ran into a group of guys who were like, hey, and we talked for a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I run our YouTube channel, real small one. And they were like, oh, what does it do? And I told them, the focus of my channel is to teach people how to play competitively, but to do it their own way, right? And they were immediately like, "Oh, that's awesome! Subscribe." So it was cool, It's really cool to meet all these people and to interact with them. And it's my favorite part about going to Games Workshop events is you kind of build these friends that you only interact with here and there, but when they see you, they instantly recognize you. Like big shout out to JD Reynolds, Kill Team player. I only know him from playing Kill Team and running the Kill Team events. And man, every event that I go to, if he's there, we make sure we say hi to each other. And it's not like we're going out and hanging out and drinking beers and stuff. We're just chatting, talking about things, catching up. It's just a cool interaction where it's like when I go places, I get to meet new people, but then I also see a lot of familiar faces. And I'm sorry, this video is kind of a lot of nothing. It's just me sharing my experience as a judge from the judge's perspective from the Open. And hopefully you can see how much fun I'm having as an employee and realize that you could have even more fun as a player and start doing these things, right? In addition to the 40K, we had a Kill Team event, we had a Blood Bowl event, we had AOS teams, AOS single, we had the hobby challenge. So we had a lot of cool stuff. I would post pictures, but I haven't had a chance to dig through them yet and see what ones I want to put up and what ones I haven't yet because my flight didn't get in until Tuesday morning at 1:30 a.m. And I basically slept for like 4 hours. And then Tuesday was just a wasted day. Like I was super tired, didn't want to do anything, and was just rough. I was just like, and then Wednesday, which was yesterday, was kind of like my first day of catch up. Made sure I spent time with the kids. We had fun, catching up on some homework, catching up on some paperwork for the VA, and all the other things I have to go through it. And so now I'm back to work. So sorry for the delay. I'm back to work. Make sure you go to a GW event if you can, and make sure you say hi to me if you're there. Uh, I also did have somebody recognize me, which was cool. I think that's the second time that's happened. And it's one of those where, like, I'm just not like bragging, but more just it's nice to know that the work that I put in is being recognized, right? I had a guy that was like, "Oh, you're the Phoenix Gaming guy." Heck yeah, man. And I was like, "Oh shit." That's super cool. So it's one of those where again, it's nice to know that my hard work's paying off. People are seeing it. People are understanding what I'm trying to do for the community and they recognize it, and that just feels good. Like it's going to feel good no matter what you do, just knowing that your hard work is being noticed and recognized. So I'm not going to ramble anymore. We're going to cut this short, but I do have some videos that I need to put out within the next week. We are going to cover. Big shout out to Nick, my subscriber Nick wants my announcements at the end. And I think he's right. I think it's a better place for them. I'm just teasing. But big shout out to Nick for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a video on how leader interacts. I'm going to work on that and have it up by Sunday. I have to remake my movement video because there's going to be a designer's commentary and FAQ coming out that tweaks a few of the things in the movement. So I've got to fix some of that. That was also another cool thing is I got to see a lot of things about 10th that we just hadn't seen yet. And a lot of it I can't talk about yet. It lets me know how I need to change videos I've already made and what videos I need to make going forward. So we're going to work on leader, we're going to redo movement, and then if there's any other specific interactions you guys want to see in 10th, let me know. Our stream games will kick off within the next 2 weeks. It just depends on when the indexes come out. Once the indexes are out, that's when we're going to start doing them. We're going to do some smaller games to start with, just kind of baby step through them. And I'll do like an actual walkthrough of the game too. So we'll do like here's my command phase, here's my movement phase, here's this, here's that, and we'll step by step it from the bird's eye view that we usually do. So and that won't be a stream though. I'll just pre-record and edit that. Big shout out to the community. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Big shout out to Games Workshop for letting me come and be a part of their team. I have nothing but good things to say about it. It is a good time. And hopefully, I'll see some of you guys in July at Tacoma. If not, I'll be sure to keep everybody updated on any of the events that I am working. That's it. Have a good day. We'll talk to you later.